Hey friend, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you how to do the vocal thickening trick inside of PreSonus Studio One. We're going to be exploring thickening up your lead vocal today using the vocal thickening trick, which is essentially pinching your vocal up and down a few times to help it get thicker and to help it get wider inside of your track. But before we dive in, if you're ready to go a little bit deeper into the vocal mixing process and really start perfecting your EQ strategy, then I have just the thing for you. It is my ultimate guide to vocal EQ, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through how to EQ your vocals step by step to help you get polished and professional sounding vocal mixes without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and take a look at this vocal. Let me, of course, hit play here, and you can hear our vocal inside of the finished mix. And then I'm going to show you step by step how to do the vocal thickening trick here inside of PreSonus Studio One. So here's our finished vocal inside the track.
I tried to get along. I tried to play the game, but I knew from the moment I saw you that it was much too late. I became so caught up in you. I'm sorry I wasn't thinking straight.
So the vocal sits in a good place in the mix. It's front and center, but what if we wanted to add some more weight to it so it had some more power in the bottom end? And we want it to sit wider inside the track. It's already sitting nice in the center, but we want to give it some width so it kind of blooms out and kind of takes over that middle point or that focal point inside of our track here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our lead vocal and I'm going to duplicate it completely. I'm going to get rid of all the plugins on it because we don't need any of the plugins here on the track. And for the moment, we can probably keep it sending to the vocal bus here. And I'm going to call this one pitch. And we'll call it pitch 1 just for the moment. So as we duplicate these, I'm going to duplicate it again. Actually, before we duplicate it, we've got this one called pitch. And what we'll do is we'll create a bounce here. So I'm going to call it vocal 2 for the moment because I need the names to be in a specific spot here. So I'm gonna take this guy here. We're gonna merge it. So I'm gonna hit G. That's gonna merge all of our edits here on the vocal, and then Command B, and we're gonna bounce it. So now it's called vocal 2, and we can rename it on the track to pitch 1, and that's gonna help when we start pitching these. So I'm gonna duplicate it again and again, and we need about 6 of these here. All right, so now we've got pitch 1 through 6. I'm going to color these a different color for the moment. We'll go orangish, beigeish. So for each one of these, we're going to pitch them, in a different direction. So our first one here, pitch number 1, I'm going to come down here. So if we open up our inspector window on the side here and we click on an audio file, we get access to all of these things down here. So tune, transpose, speed up, normalize, fade in, fade out, gain, all this kind of stuff here. Excuse me, I keep burping. I drank too much water here before. We're going to come to tune here, and I'm going to tune it down 3, okay? And each of these are going to work in a pair. So our next one, pitch 2, we're going to tune up 3. So now we have this vocal that's tuned down 3 and tuned up 3. For our next pair, we're going to work the opposite way and in another increment of 3. So our first one here, pitch number 3, we're going to tune up 6. So that's going to compensate for our first one being tuned down 3. And then our next one, we're going to tune down 6. So now we have this evenness as we pitch up and down on each side. That's going to give us consistency as we pitch these vocals, so we're not leaning down one side and leaning up one side. That'll give us some weird issues when we do bring this up underneath our vocal. And then same thing here on our next one. We'll start down 9 and then up 9. So now we have balance across our pitch changes. And we're going to take these guys here, all these vocals, and we're going to bounce these. And as we bounce them, it's going to rename them all the way down. And that's going to allow us to create stereo files here inside of Studio One. So Command B with all of them highlighted, and it's going to bounce all of these out. So we'll have pitch 1, pitch 2, pitch 3, pitch 4, pitch 5, and pitch 6. And all of these are going to work in stereo pairs. So we'll have pitch 1 and 2 that we're going to combine into a stereo pair, pitch 3 and 4, and pitch 5 and 6 that we'll combine. So each of the ones that are pitched down a certain interval, so 3 and 3, 6 and 6, and 9 and 9. All right, so now we have all of these bounced out. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, and if you don't have this open, you can always open up the Browse tab in the bottom here. It's down next to Edit and Mix. We can open up our Browse window. We're going to go to Files. Now, if you don't have this window open, you can just open up to Studio One, and then you probably won't have an Artist tab, but you'll have a Songs tab here. So I'm going to come down to the Artist here. We're going to open up Songs. This song is called Story of Us. It is under the EP. So we can open up the actual song folder, and then we have our bounces right here. So we'll have our bounces showing up in here. If we refresh our folder, there's all of our pitches. So now what we can do is we can click on the first one, click on the second one, right click, and we can merge them to a stereo file. So instead of having all of these that we need to pan, we'll have a stereo file created for each of these. And I'm just going to pull this in down below for the moment. And then remember 3 and 4 are a group here, merge to stereo file. There's our second one. And then same thing, 5 and 6. So now we have our pitched pairs. So our 3s, our 6s, and our 9s. And I'm going to take these 3 and I'm going to drag them up right below our vocal here. So all of these guys, we don't need any of these guys anymore. So I'm going to highlight all of them, Shift T, and that will delete all of those there. These 3, we will recolor, and we'll name them pitch 3. And if you don't know how to tab down, if you click on a name to rename it, if you hit tab, it'll automatically take you down to the next track. And then 9. So now we have these 3 guys here. They are already routing to our vocal bus. I'm going to create a group out of them. So I have a shortcut for creating groups, but if you don't, all you have to do is highlight them and Command G, and then we have our group here inside of Studio One. So they'll work as a group. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this up underneath our vocal. I'm going to do it inside the track, and then I'll solo it up so you can hear what it sounds like just with our vocal.
Get along. I tried to play the game, but I knew from the moment I saw you that it was much too late. I tried to get along. I tried to play the game, but I knew from the moment I saw you that it was much too late. I tried to get along. I tried to play the game, but I knew from the moment I saw you that it was much too late.
So this is something you want to bring in subtly. It's going to give you that extra level of thickness, and it's also going to give you some width on your vocal because we have a pitch shift going on each side. It creates some width across our vocal, and it kind of gives you that chorusy sounding effect. Usually I'm down around 20 dB with this group here, and if you put them on a group fader, you can kind of level it out to get your fader more in the middle. But I'm usually down towards -20, -25 here. It's about at a good spot now. This last line still sounds a little crazy, so I'm going to go a little bit lower.
I tried to get along. I tried to play the game, but I knew from the moment I saw you that it was much too late.
That sounds perfect. So listen one more time and I'll A-B it inside the track, and then we'll solo our vocal up and we'll add in and out our pitch here.
I tried to get along. I tried to play the game, but I knew from the moment I saw you that it was much too late. I tried to get along.
You You can hear inside of our track, once we kick in our 3 pitch tracks here, our vocal goes from being in the center to kind of blooming out inside the track. It takes over more of the space in the center because we have this little bit of width coming from our pitch tracks. And the more space we can fill with our vocal, the more powerful it's going to feel. And we're also adding some extra thickness here with these 3 tracks. The pitch shift on each side, down and up, gives us that extra level of bottom end and low mid energy that we're bringing up underneath our vocal here. So take a listen. Let me show you just what these guys sound like first.
I tried to get along. I tried to play the game. But I knew from the moment I saw you that it was much too late.
You can hear this stack of vocals like this, these 6 vocal tracks pitched up and down, actually translate to a thicker sounding vocal, and we get that kind of chorusy width coming out of it, but the high end doesn't stack up when we pitch them up and down. So we don't get a whole bunch of S's or sibilance range or top end. What we just get is more weight underneath our vocal. So let's throw it in with our vocal, and I'll A-B it just our lead vocal by itself.
I tried to get along. I tried to play the game. But I knew from the moment I saw you that it was much too late. I tried to get along. I tried to play the game. But I knew from...
Adding some extra weight to our vocal, opening it up a little bit so it's not so centered and not so mono sounding. Let's throw it again back in the track here.
I tried to get along. I tried to play the game. But I knew from the moment I saw you that it was much too late. I tried to get along. I tried to play the game. But I knew from the moment I saw you.
So if you're struggling to get your vocal some extra power, some extra width in your mix, definitely try the vocal thickening trick. And if you're just looking for how to do this inside of Studio One, like we talked about here, just duplicating our vocal, creating one track, duplicating that track, pitching each one down 3, up 3, and so on and so forth. Then we're creating stereo files out of each of them that we can group together and pull up underneath our vocal for that extra thickness and that extra width on our vocal. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you are ready to take your vocal mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow when it comes to EQing vocals, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my ultimate guide to vocal EQ, and you can download it below to start creating more professional vocal mixes in less time. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.